Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel and welcome to once more a brand new season of racing action here for the TSRC PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Season 5 kicks itself up here in Germany, one of the most famous racetracks in the world, and don't worry, we're not on the Nordschleife. We're here for the Nurburgring Grand Prix Loop, a fantastic circuit in its own right and home to some fantastic GT3 racing action. The last time we saw it was all the way back in Season 1, Round 2, which was a long time ago. So it's been a while. It's nice to be back, of course, and for yet another season. It's myself, Zach Sweeney Kelsey Gill, alongside me in the commentary with Kieran Sharp pointing their cameras and making sure the broadcast looks very pretty for you all at home. Of course, we do remind you to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, etc, but you know the drill. And also make sure to not be shy. For those in the YouTube chat, we'd love to keep you indulged and to answer your queries, questions, your thoughts, your feelings, your predictions, whatever goes through your head coming over the course of the evening. And well, we're in store for 15 minutes of qualifying, a 40-minute race, of which they've got to make a mandatory pit stop. Kelsey, I think we're in for a really good standout season opener.
Oh, we certainly are, and well, not just the season opener, but a whole season in general. We've got a list of awesome tracks as we go through the 6 rounds, but we're going to focus on number 1, and it's, well, good evening from me, and a good evening to Phil across the pond as well. Thanks for joining us in the live chat. But yes, we're at the well, not the Nordschleife, but the Nurburgring, and it's a technical circuit. It's going to be one that really demands some flow from the drivers, as a mistake leads to another mistake and another, and it just snowballs from there if you do that. And drivers are going to want to try and focus on that consistency, on being as perhaps a little bit cautious in a lot of the corners so they don't make those mistakes, and perhaps being that way, being smooth, being fluid will be, you know, the way forward over going for that extra little bit of lap time. But I think with some of the drivers we have out there today, Zach, well, you know, there's going to be some guns blazing out there, I think.
Oh, indeed so. And obviously, if this is your first time, welcome to not only to JPB if it's your first time here, but if it's your first time to the Sim Racing Collective. Obviously, basically what they do is they are on ACC and they are on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and they do a plethora of championships. We also do broadcast their endurance championship, the TSRC 500 series, every other Saturday or so. Which will host obviously about 3-hour races. So if you are interested in the endurance side of things as well, do make sure you're sticking around for the TSRC bundle, I suppose, we've got here on the JP Broadcasting channel. We've got the sprint racing and the PCs, and then we've also got the endurance side of things as well. But talking about this calendar as a whole, as Kelsey said, we've got 7 races in store for you over the course of the next 6 weeks. We start here in Nurburgring. We then go over to Japan. Suzuka is round 2. Brands Hatch to round off the first half with our sprint round, the first ever time it's outside of the UK. It's across the pond and it's at the Circuit of the Americas. That takes place at round 4, 2 25-minute races, Bathurst and Misano, to round off our 6-week calendar. And Kelsey, you touched on the fact that the calendar this season is so tricky, so technical, but at the same time so rewarding and hopefully going to provide us some really close championship fights.
Yeah, there's a lot of circuits that are really going to challenge, and well, the Nurburgring is one that's going to set us off as we go along. Suzuka's another track that is very similar. There's a lot of corners that just flow into another, and you know, like I say, with this one, mistakes can tend to snowball around circuits like that. And then Brands Hatch, I mean, it slows it down a little bit. It's still got a few technical elements. It's a very narrow, old track is Brands Hatch, so that's going to be another challenge for the drivers. And then we go on to Kota, which has a lot of the best elements of many different circuits from all across racing in there. It's got a little bit of high-speed corners, like in Maggots, Begets, and Chapel from Silverstone. It's got that amazing corner. Was it from Turkey? I think it is, which is turn, I want to say turn 14 or 15. On the Kota track as well, some very technical elements there. And then we move on to Bathurst, and I don't think I need to overly describe how technical of a circuit Bathurst is. It's just an absolute monster to drive. And then of course we would round things off around Misano, which is a circuit I don't have too much experience with, but I've heard it's a great circuit to drive, and I'm sure the drivers are going to enjoy it. But we're the early lap times are coming in, and it looks like Samuel Chumley's leading the way.
He is. Of course, a week ago we had our pre-season. It took place at Paul Ricciardo. It is the Ferrari driver of Ethan Faulkner who took victory after his run of form. So Smoggy then joined him alongside Slam Fleety on the podium. Was a brilliant display of racing action, to say the absolute least, and was a great teaser into what we get coming into season number 5. If you haven't watched season 1, 2, 3 or 4, definitely go and do it, because there were 4 great seasons with multiple champions who all deserve it in their own right. Talking of champions, Jamie Nuttall in the Lexus RCF machine. He, of course, it is the reigning champion. He took part in the Ferrari 296 over season 4 after his return after a bit of a sabbatical in TSRC. He came back, he won the championship, and now he's back to maybe hang on to it and, well, maybe go for 2 in 2. We'll wait and see, of course, because he's got a very tough competition ahead of him. Very tight and competitive field, because even in the first half of qualifying, Kelsey, only 1.6 seconds covers the top 10.
Yeah, it's looking very close. Well, not overly close there, but yeah, 1.6 seconds covering the top 10, being well, there's plenty of lap time to be found, let's say, but looking at practice, I think it was Sam Fleety and Dominic Aligna who were trading the top times during then, so we'll wait and see what they've got in store for us. That's Ferreira coming around in the AMs, and I must say, Zach, one thing we will notice is that the silvers are no more. We're back to pros and AMs for this, and I think it's going to be much more congested, but much closer championships for it, and it's going to be a lot of drivers on the grid at a lot of times. We're hoping, at least that's what Kieran tells me after asking him about the transition itself. But it's going to be one thing to look out for out there, I think, and one element that's going to perhaps change the flow of things from the last couple of seasons that we have had.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I must say I do prefer having just 2 pros in the AMs, because it just makes it a little bit easier. The silvers are a little bit of I mean, I get it, obviously, because, you know, we like having people around them that are around the same skill level. So if you've got the pros, if you've got the silvers and the AMs, everyone really has got a chance to succeed. But it just makes it so confusing for us in the commentary booth to work out all the maths for 3 different races. Pros, AMs, sorted, done and dusted. If you're not competitive, get quicker, basically. Tough love, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's always a good thing to return to the more simplistic way of things. Pros and the AMs. And Nico Velden up into 9th place with 6.5 minutes left of qualifying. Kelsey, the Nurburgring. It's a circuit that is really... It's a fun circuit to drive. But some would say maybe overtaken opportunities are somewhat limited. I remember watching the ESL R1 in Rennsport, on Rennsport. Their competition, obviously, one of the tracks on the sim was the Nurburgring in GT3 cars, and they did struggle quite a lot to actually get those moves done. And they're the top of sim racing. They're the best of the best. And surely if they can't do it, then almost no one can. Where sort of do we expect people to actually be able to make those moves? Because at a circuit where it's difficult to get a move done, how do you do it? How do you overcome the difficulties?
Well, I think one element of it is you've just got to be brave, and I think another is you've got to be opportunistic. Circuits like this, where the chances don't come as thick and fast as, say, at a circuit like Silverstone, perhaps, or something that's a bit more open. Well, I mean, I don't know, Nürburgring's, I'd say an open, but at the same time, because the nature of the corners and the layout of the circuit itself, because the corners come at you so quickly, and I keep going on about how mistakes can snowball around here. It just makes overtaking around the circuit that little bit more difficult, and I don't expect people to be slowing down for you like the Porsche did for James Wright there on this qualifying lap. But it's going to be one where the drivers are going to really have to search for those chances. I think turn 1 is going to be a good chance. It's a heavy braking zone. It's one where you've got to turn in late for the corner, but there's a few different sort of lines you can take through there to really maximize it. There's a few other tough braking zones as well, maybe toward the final corner as well if you want to try it, but there's a lot of areas of the track that are high speed chicanes, like the one we just see here. And yeah, there's going to be very little opportunity for the drivers to really make it, and you've got to make the most of mistakes and other opportunities if you're going to get past.
Yes, that. I mean, in some senses, I suppose, it's the difference between the good and the great. Making sure you can maximize those opportunities, making sure they um, are the right decisions to make. Because you have to remember, these guys are driving cars at their absolute limit of driving capability. The drivers are at their absolute limit of driving capability. I mean, they're going around corners, 120 miles an hour, heavy on the brakes. Obviously, yes, it's sim life, but the corners still come at you thick and fast. The adrenaline is still there. That is all real. It's fake race cars, but real racing. And to have those split-second decisions is such a tricky skill to actually master. And it's only after, months, years of experience that you really do start to build up that second nature habit of knowing where, when, how, when not to, how not to get a move done. And around a circuit like the Nurburgring, I think it is going to prove dividends to have to be able to pick the moments right, go for gaps that are there, not gaps that aren't, and maximizing the opportunities that do come, if/when they come. Because, I mean, you've got to be careful. If you've got a poor qualifying, chances are you're not going to really have many chances to work your way towards the front, which I think is why it's so important for our pole sitter at the moment of Sam Fleety to have that pole position, because it means that he doesn't have to do any overtaking. Touch wood for him, obviously, in an ideal situation. From pole position, all he's got to do is look backwards, and at a circuit where it's difficult to overtake, on the flip side of that, it's going to be easy to defend.
Yeah, track position is king on these circuits when it is hard to overtake, and that's what they've got to be going for, and that's what makes the qualifying more important and more exciting as well, because the drivers are really pushing to try and get as high up on the grid as they possibly can. And I was just having a little think while you were talking about my point, Zach. I just sort of what sort of places that I would go for moves if I was out there on the track myself. I said about turn 1, perhaps into the 4 curve as well, maybe Dunlop curve as well, if you want to try and go through there. But there's just not all that many overtaking opportunities around this track in terms of going into braking zones. Perhaps the Michelin curve as well, but it's just it's one where you've really got to be on your game, I think. And I think the mistakes are what you've got to try and capitalize on as well. But what you don't want to end up doing is, if you're in the pros, for example, getting a bad qualifying and perhaps then getting stuck in amongst the AMs. Because, I mean, it's no knock on the AMs at all. All of them are incredible drivers out there. But if you're fast and you're stuck behind somebody who is, slower than you, then it is going to be a challenge on a circuit where it is hard to overtake, because of overall you're going to be slowed down, and that's going to affect your results come the end.
Indeed. Final stages now of qualifying, and Samuel Chumley is about to start his final lap. For those saying, well, there's only 1.5 minutes left in qualifying, and it's a 2-minute lap, ACC is nice. It's not like iRacing, it's not like RaceRoom. They're nice. They let you finish your lap. So Samuel Chumley will be starting his final go-around. At the moment, he's sat 5th at one of 2 McLarens inside the top 5. So looking quite strong, it must be said, for the McLaren outfit. His other McLaren is Dominic Eligna in 3rd place. Of course, Eligna joined us towards the back end of Season 3 and has since proved his worth and proved how quick he can be. Originally was in the Audi, now has moved to the Macca. Walter Steenbergen here is taken to the Porsche. It's nice to see quite a wide variety of machines. Obviously, we were talking about quite a heavy Ferrari contingent in this grid because it's new, it's not been bobbed, it's quick, fundamentally. But we've got Bentleys, Lamborghinis, even a Lexus, BMWs, Nissans, McLarens, Aston Martins. We've got nearly the entire range of GT3s that are on offer in ACC. And I think that's really good to see. We do not want a single make series.
Yeah, the only one that we are missing, of course, is the Honda NSX GT3 Evo, which was Maurice Stryker's car for a couple of seasons, but that is the only one we're missing. 13 Ferraris over all of the drivers on the grid out there, and then the next highest car is the McLarens, with there being 5 of them. But it's clearly the car of choice, but there's a few drivers who have perhaps switched out their cars for some different ones out there. I know Jack Southfield, he's dropped his Porsche for the Bentley out there at the moment, and well, I hear the Bentley goes quite well around this track, so hopefully Jack Southfield can wrestle it around at the moment, although he is down in P18, so perhaps the Nurburgring not to Jack Southfield's liking. Samuel Chumley coming through in his McLaren now, one more corner to navigate. Can he get himself in amongst the top places at the moment? Can it be pole position for the McLaren? The 111 car comes across the line. It's only P4.
P4 still on the second rope, still only half a second off pole position. I think that really just puts into perspective how good of a lap time Sam Fleety was able to put in, because from Faulkner to Chumley it's only just over a tenth, but from Fleety to Faulkner 3.5, so it's close in that fight for second. Sam Fleety has put in a sensational lap time. Of course, we didn't actually see him. Oh no, we did see him over the course of Paul Ricard. He managed to take the podium, of course, so he's shown the pace in the preseason, and he's arrived here today to whack it onto pole position for the Nurburgring. Sam Fleety has always been one of those impressive drivers, and well, he's managed to put it on pole position, which surely means that he's going to be expecting to take the win.
Yeah, and speaking of pole positions, look at where Victor Martin finds himself. He is firmly amongst the top 10, well away from the rest of his AM contingent. So, I mean, that could be a promotion waiting to happen throughout the season, but that's a very strong starting point for the AM poleman at the moment, as Pizzuti finishes his time. Here's Slav in his Tiger Stripe Mercedes. Can he get himself in amongst the top 10? At the moment, we'll see. Just one more corner to navigate through there. That looked fairly clean in the Mercedes. At the moment, car number 7 coming around the final corner. Oh, that's not the best line through there as he comes down. And here he comes. Can he improve? No.
He can't, unfortunately. 13 is all the Tiger can manage. After 15 minutes of qualifying, Sam Fleety was the one to rise to the occasion and take the first pole position with the season firmly underway. Ethan Faulkner will join him on the front row with the two McLarens of Aligna and Chumley, 3 and 4. Two-time champion Sir Smokey rounds off the top 5 with Guillaume Hamling in 6th. Victor Martin is pole position for the AMS, up in 7th place overall, less than a second off the overall pole. Oscar Soristo on his return is good enough for 8th, with Elias Troy and Nico Veldman the top 10. Natal, a disappointing 11th place for the Lexus and the reigning champion, with Wright joining him on row 6. Then comes Slav, Karisiak, Gardner, Spies, Gameo, Pryor, Southwood and Tomasi the top 20, with 30 cars on the field. We'll let the rest obviously scroll through all the way down to Brown in P30. A huge grid here, Kelsey, and hopefully a huge race on offer as well.
Yeah, it is a massive grid, and well, it's just going to make the point of the hard overtaking all that more prevalent, I think, as there's going to be a lot of cars, a lot of bodies to navigate for all of the drivers out there, and those members of the AMS who've started that low down. I'm very shocked to see Jack Southfield among the lower end of the pros at the moment. I think he's the last pro on the grid, actually, if you put it down there in P19, so he's really got some work to do at the moment. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult race, I think. It's going to be interesting at the top of the pros, as I think these, well, if the pre-season race was anything to go by, there's going to be quite the fight for position, perhaps. But I think it's all going to be about who can make the most of the opportunities and who can be the most consistent driver out there among the field for the win at the moment. Alessio Raglioli is cheering on Ethan, so come on, Ethan, he says in the live chat.
Indeed so. Again, we thank everyone that's tuning in here on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. If you are just joining us, you're joining myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill in the commentary booth with the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series Season 5 Round 1 kicks us off in the German circuit of the Nurburgring. And, well, here on Assetto Corsa Competizione, we will definitely not be disappointed. It's obviously a privilege to talk you through all this wonderful action that we've got in store. And if you are enjoying, of course, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications to not miss a single thing that comes your way when it comes to sim racing. We've got it all. GTs, endurances, single-seaters, you name it, we've got it. So if you're looking to find a home in terms of your favourite series, you've got it here at JP Broadcasting. If you're looking to branch out a little bit, maybe dip into some NASCAR, dip into some Formula 3, you've got a good platform to do it here at JP Broadcasting as well. And we'll always try and deliver the top-notch broadcast And, well, make sure that you at home are going to be very, very happy and very satisfied with what you're watching as well, because, well, at the end of the day, it's the viewers that push all of the racing action that comes onto our screens. You guys are definitely some of the reasons that we do what we do. So make sure you're commenting in the YouTube chat. Give us your thoughts, your feelings, your queries, your questions, your predictions. What do you think is going to come out of the 40 minutes of racing that we've got here at the Nurburgring? Kelsey again is a wow. Okay, Ethan Faulkner, he wasn't in that livery last week, was he?
No, I don't think so.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I was just thinking about liveries. I saw Slav's livery and I thought it's not the it's not the most sort of visually striking, but it does put a smile on my face every time I see it, especially seeing the little stickers on the front. But wow, that is absolutely beautiful from Ethan Faulkner.
Yeah, I mean, I like the eagle on the side. I don't know if it adds to it, stays the same, takes from it. It's all right. I just love the front. It's so strong. It looks almost reminiscent of something you'd see out of like the Into the Spider-Verse film. I don't know why it gives me that vibe, but I don't know. It just looks cool. The matte black, yeah. I don't often like any other color than red on a Ferrari, but I like that. It's really, really nice. So, Marie Striker, you've got to step it up, mate, because we've got the striking livery here on Ethan Faulkner's car. Yeah, wow, okay. That, I have to say, that takes my pick so far this season.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is it just fits the shape of the car so well, where those silver elements are, and it really just highlights those curves and those aerodynamic parts of the car, which I really like. And I was going to say something similar about Sam Fleety's livery, actually. I feel like it's very much well suited to that Audi that he's in at the moment, and that's one of the best parts of the livery. I think what a livery should do is really accentuate the natural features of the car and just its natural sort of shape, I suppose. And it really does just, yeah, wow, it just makes it stand out so much, and I love it.
It really does. Well, liveries aside, ladies and gentlemen, we won't. Well, there we go. Well, Kieran Sharp definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to liveries. Vaislav Volodya in his Tiger has become very iconic for the stripes. He's looking very strong, and 13th place for the Tiger Racing team. The Estonian has shown some good, strong results. Kelsey, before we get underway, very, very quickly, who do you think's coming out on top today?
Oh, I think Sam Fleety's got. I think he's got it in the bag. I mean, it could be a challenge. I could be wrong, but I think with a track like this, Sam's a quick driver. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to lead a race. He knows how to win a race, and I think he's definitely got a good standing as we end the formation lap and the cars line up together.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. Is it going to be Fleety, Faulkner, Aligna, Chumley, anyone else? Let us know in the comments here for the live chat. The Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series season number 5 is about to get itself underway. We've had the pre-season. All the preparation is done and dusted. This is it. This is your moment to shine. They line up 2 by 2, 15 rows deep, out of the exit of the final corner. 40 minutes on the clock. You put your foot to the floor and it's go. Here in Germany, a good start from Sam Fleety, but immediately onto the attack are the 2 McLarens. Dominic Aligna on the inside. Samuel Chumley trying to thread the needle through the middle. Outside line for Ethan Faulkner. He's going to lose out. The Audi of Sir Smokey trying to pick his way through. 3 wide uphill in towards turn number 2. It's going to be the McLaren of Chumley that gets ahead onto the podium. And a very, very poor start from the Ferrari.
Yeah, very poor start indeed. And who's that off the track? That's Bazzuti in his Ferrari at the moment. Not the best start from him. And well, it's going to be quite the interesting first lap, I think, as we continue onwards.
Here we go. Stuart Pryor for RS Motorsports in P18. He's behind Gameo in the opening laps. Of course, 40 minutes on the clock. Long time left to go. That cone just got completely abused as they ran their way in towards the Ford curve, I think. And exiting it now towards Dunlop. Slight downhill run. A good overtaking opportunity if you are close enough, but it is difficult. Mav Gardner's going to find that out the hard way. He's down in P24 with Slav Volodya with him as well. Outside line. Now the run uphill towards the Schumacher S. He's lost out to Jack Southfield in the Bentley as well. I have to say, Jack Southfield, P15. Not really like him.
No, it really isn't, and he's going to really be fighting his way through at the moment. It's good to see he's got a bit of fight in him in that Bentley at the moment. He got his way past Gardner. He saw the opportunity and he took it without any hesitation. So he's up ahead of the BMW for now. But I think this midfield scrap is going to be one to keep an eye on, because there's some drivers who I think are out of position, and Jack Southfield is one of them.
For sure. It goes without saying, I think Guillaume Hamling as well has had a tumble to P16 just behind Mav Gardner. So the runner-up over the course of, I think, multiple championships over the course of the TSRC PC's life. He's never won a championship, but he's been close. So to see him in 16th in a car that he knows all too well, I think he's not changed since season 1. Down the inside though, Ethan Faulkner trying to reclaim the podium. Bit of contact with the 111 McLaren of Samuel Chumley, who darts his way back to the inside of turn 2. It's the long way round, of course, for the Ferrari, but if any car can do it, the Ferrari can. Ethan Faulkner looking a little bit shaky as he brakes on the AstroTurf. He's going to have to settle in once again for 4th. But they've got to be very careful here, Kelsey, because the consequence of them fighting too hard is that Sam Fleety and Aligna get away.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They want to try and emulate what they did in the pre-season race and try and keep with Fleety and work together if they're going to have any chance of fighting him. But I think and Aligna's going to try and run away as well. So these two really need to kind of get an idea, settle down a little bit, and just try and pull each other along to the drivers ahead of them if they're going to catch. And I think there's a few little battles that are nicely cooking up at the moment. There's a little battle down toward the back with the AMs as well. There's the two Ferraris hunting down the Aston Martin. Or was that a McLaren and a Ferrari, perhaps? It is a McLaren and a Ferrari. But trying to find some ways through. And it's a shame, really, to see Faulkner have that awful start, because he had such promise in that pre-season race. He was leading for a good majority of it as well, and had an incredible battle with the likes of Fleety and Striker, and I think it was Smoggy, or is it Aligna? I can't quite remember till last week. But yeah, it's a shame that he's got the start he did, but he's got to knuckle down now, as there's a bit of side-by-side action for the Schumacher S's. That was very close, and some contact there as well.
A little bit, yeah. They've got to make sure. Well, I mean, there was no harm, no foul, really. Of course, I don't think the Aston Martin is going to be particularly pleased. Brown falling down a couple of places. Hotly contested midfield fight here, queuing up behind Southfield is Gardner and Hamling, who's trying to work his way back forwards throughout the field. We tick our way through the first 5 minutes of the 40-minute race. Mav Gardner looking promising in the BMW. Also, Guillaume Hamling going to the inside, potentially to follow him through. Inside line for turn number 1. Jack Southfield goes a long way. His Bentley is big enough. I mean, we've got two chonks in terms of the GT3s, the Bentley and the BMW, very, very large. And then you've got the little baby of the Lamborghini in behind, continuing to go side by side though. Southfield has the inside through turn 3. Mav Gardner forced to concede. Hamling nearly nipping his way to the inside. A good attempt from Gardner, but not quite good enough.
I think they've been listening on us, Zach. They're trying to prove us wrong that they can be overtaken, because that was it wasn't completely side by side, but it was definitely some sniffing from the BMW of Mav and even Hamling as well. One thing they are doing is they're racing very closely, and that's a mistake there from the BMW. That's invited Hamling's Lamborghini to go straight past and up ahead of Gardner at the moment.
Through the Dunlop curb. Curve, English at some point. I know we're in Germany, but we need to speak English. And now through the Schumacher S's. I can get some corner names right, just not all of them. Mav Gardner with a really good run through. Is it good enough to really contend into the next left-hander? I don't think it's quite there for the 805 machine, but he's pressing on. He's got Tomasi in the background. Here's a move. This is Nico Velman, and this is Oscar Cerezo. The Finns return to the TSRC, finds him side by side with the Flying Dutchman. Veldman has the left-hand side going into the NGK chicane. Outside line, they've made it work. Beautiful stuff between the pair of them. And now the Porsche of Elias Troy is trying to pick his way to the inside. Does exactly that, finds the gap, gives the space to Nico Velman, who runs a little bit wide. But look at how shaky the Porsche is. Now it's a drag race to turn 1.
Yeah, who's going to be the latest on the brakes between the two of them? It's not going to matter now as Veldman pulls ahead, but into the slipstream goes Troyer as well. Looks to the outside at the moment,
Oh!
switches to the inside. At the latest of moments, contact between the two of them as they go, and they're going to emerge side by side once again as they go. But I think this position is going to go to Troyer, although the Audi's holding on for dear life at the moment and still side by side as they continue to battle with one another.
Outside line for Veldman. You couldn't put a sheet of paper between the two of them. It's a slow run, and there's more contact. Veldman is sent sideways after contact, I think, with Karisiak for P10. He tumbles his way down. Look at this train, though. What we've got for P1, we've got a bit of lap traffic actually in the way. No, we haven't. This is nowhere near P1. I just saw Jamie Nuttall and assumed it was P1. It's not. He's down in P11, and he's behind James Wright. Karisiak as well. That's just behind this battle. The battle that obviously saw Nico Veldman have a bit of a spin. He's now running his way through the Dunlop curve. And, well, Jamie Nuttall, uncharacteristically, is struggling. It seems that either the Lexus isn't quite to his liking, or the Ferrari is just that quick.
Yeah, I mean, the Ferrari is the popular choice. Like I said, 13 Ferraris out there at the moment as Hamling's trying to make a pass on Slav at the moment. Bit of contact sends him off the track, and that could see Southfield gain a position as well. Goes around the outside in the Bentley. Is it nimble enough to outpace the Lamborghini at the moment? They're going to be dragging all the way to the line, and Southfield just pulls ahead at the moment. Gardner's trying to get involved as well. This is an insane scrap between these three. These three have not stopped at the moment, but backing out is Mav, and I think that's quite sensible from him. And Hamling didn't have the best run through the chicane there at the moment, but he manages to hold station for the time being.
For the time being is one thing. For the next 32 minutes is very much another. We've, of course, still got the pit stop along the way. We didn't have it in the pre-season race. Who's that? Is it in the pit lane? That might be Ferrari, maybe. Who's the Ferrari that's not doing too great at the bottom of the timesheets? It might be Marco Pizzuti, or it could be Patricio Gamero. Either two of them, really. Unfortunately, not having the best of races, peeling into the pit lane. But as I say, side by side, Nico Veldman trying to move his way past Mav Gardner, going through the arena section. No real changes between the two of them. However, Gardner has got a poor run off the exit, and the Audi looks to the left-hand side. He's got to be late on the brakes, and he is. Nice move there from the 29 machine. It's not over until it's over, though. Gardner, once again, the inside switches his way. Outside for the Audi R8, does a brilliant job of keeping that momentum up and takes 15th place away from Mav Gardner. But touching on that pit stop, Kelsey, I mean, obviously these guys have blown it out of the water about it being difficult to overtake, as Steenbergen and Ryan Cockle have had issues. They've had a spin as well. But talking about, obviously, track position and things, how important do you think the strategy is going to be in this race? Because it's a 40-minute race. It's not a 12-hour race where you're doing pit stops, you're filling up fuel, you're saving tyres. You're in, you change your tyres, you're back out again, essentially, is what it is for this format. Will it make a big difference, do you think?
I think those who can read the race well are the ones who are going to benefit the most, I think. And if you can pit at the right time, if you can get the tyres on at the right time, doing the overcut or the undercut, you're going to be very massively benefited, I think. I'm not sure which is the best one out there at the moment. I mean, the undercut tends to be one that is sometimes faster, but you do get the odd case where the overcut is the faster of the strategies out there. But I think it's going to be those who can read it the most, because, well, I mean, I thought he was spinning there for a moment. Was Sam Fleety, but perhaps not. He continues to wrangle that Audi round. But I'll get back to my point on the strategies. But if you can, God, that's really thrown me off. If you can set it up well, as Ferreira comes into the pit lane now, that Ferrari looks very beat up. But if you can set it up well, you can really gain something. Because I mean, they've proved us wrong with the overtaking being quite numerous at the moment. But if you can time a pit stop right, you can come out in a really good position.
James Wright trying to put himself in a good position to go the outside of the 313 of Karisiak. He's managed to get himself firmly inside the top 10. James Wright moving forward in this race, but hotly in pursuit. The V8, I want to say, of the Lexus. It sounds most V8-ish So we're going to go with V8 for the Lexus. He's running for Jamie Nuttall. He's up there in 11th after starting in P11. So not really made much headway forwards, unfortunately, the Tech 1 Racing machine and the reigning champion, of course. But he's on the door of the top 10. Karisiak defends, but the Lexus definitely does look a little bit quicker at this stage.
Yeah, Nuttall just looks very fast, doesn't he? He looks very put together. He looks very confident out on the track. And I think, you know, that Ferrari is very, very quick. And it does take a little bit of time to get used to some new machinery. But a driver of the caliber of Jamie Nuttall, I think he's someone who can make the most of anything out there at the moment. But again, another driver who seems to be out of position. There's a lot of heavy hitters among the pros who are, I suppose, lamenting a little bit toward the backfield, but the pit window's open and Hamling has pulled the trigger. Well,
he's in, and it's a shame for those that came in about a couple of minutes ago because they were just off the fringes of making it, and now they've got to come in again. For those following the timing tower, you can see obviously their position, their name, their car, their number, and then that orange box with a little white 1 in it. That obviously shows that they owe us a mandatory stop. As soon as that turns green, they're done, they're dusted, they don't have to come in again. And to get that off, you come in, you pit, you refuel over in your pit box. That ticks off the box on the check sheet of this race, says you've done it, you've served it. When you cross the checker flag, you're not going to get a penalty. So they've got to make sure they do it over the course of the next 17.5 minutes. And as we say, in a fight, in fights plural, as in abundance as this, as hotly contested as this, if you can come in off sequence ever so slightly, come in away from everyone else, come off in isolation, get a clean lap under your belt, you could find yourself picking up a second and a half of advantage, which can very easily see you a little bit further up the timing tower. I'd have to say, for Aligna, for Fleety, are we going to see any variation? Is Aligna wanting to do this in the pit lane? Is he wanting to do it on track?
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be tough. These two are in a bit of a world of their own at the top, I think. But I think the biggest mix-up when strategy is going to come is in this midfield battle that we're experiencing at the moment. Hamling is amongst that, and he's pulled the trigger early. So it'll be interesting to see if any of the others do decide to come in at the moment, because that track space, that clear air is really going to help out those who get it and gain a bit of time as well. There's a bit of action here toward the back, and this is Steenbergen trying to make a move on Ryan Cockle at the moment. Gets all sorts of out of shape in his Porsche at the moment and doesn't manage to get a move off. But I don't know, I think well, Fleety being the lead car at the moment, he's got the choice, really, hasn't he? He's leading everybody. He decides what he does with the strategy. He's got the advantage in that way. But Aligna could put on some pressure. But perhaps if he does come in early, that could force Fleety to come in, perhaps when he doesn't want to. And wow, really putting that car to its pace. This is Steenbergen coming through the final corner.
Well, he's not peeled his way into the pit lane, which is quite strange to me because I don't know, it just seems that people are going quite early with their pit stop windows. Following on with Victor Marsing in the Iron Lynx Lamborghini, again a nice livery, the green on the Lamborghini Huracan definitely looks very nice. Definitely works quite well as well. He's in pursuit of a two-time champion, so Smokey just in front. And I have to say, Smokey's really struggled with form over the course of the last couple of seasons. I mean, I say that he finished third in the championship of season 4. Didn't win a race, though, but still was inside the top 5. That's almost, I suppose, I'm almost saying he's off form, but it's almost a compliment saying that a bad season is one where you finish third in the championship. So Smokey really hasn't been able to kickstart that pace that he once saw that did see him to championship glory. And right now, he's not really had that kindle to push him for race leads, for podiums or anything like that. He's got to find something to do different to really rise up to the occasion, because it's not going to be easy for the top-end drivers, the top end of the pros, the Fleeties, the Lignas, Chumleys, Faulkners, Smogies, etc., for them to succeed. Smokey's going to have to find something extra if he wants to compete.
Yeah, he is, and he's not been. He wasn't on the best of. He wasn't the Smokey that I've seen in my limited time here with TSRC PC Series, but he's definitely still got something in there. I think perhaps the change of car. It is perhaps an effort to try and find a bit of what he lost last season, but I mean, give him the opportunity to lead a race, and I'm sure he won't turn it down because he is that level of driver. He does know how to lead. He does know how to win. He's a two-time champion for that very reason. And I think, you know, perhaps he just wants to go out there, challenge himself, have a bit of fun with it as well, and not lead every single race. But I'm not saying that it's not fun to lead, but it, you know, fighting among the midfield can have its fun moments as well. As Aligna's really putting the pressure on Fleety now, practically pushing him through the corners in his McLaren for the time being. Can he find a way through? At the moment, they're coming up through the Schumacher S's now. This won't be a place for an overtake, but the next corner, the Michelin curve, is that going to be a place to send it? At the moment, no. Stays behind and keeps to P2.
So, no changes at the front, but very, very close indeed. Oh, I mean, I'm now looking at Dominic Aligna's livery. I do like it. It's a very, very nice. Obviously, the Golf McLaren livery was a fan favourite in Formula 1 over the course of 2021 because Golf just make really good liveries. The blue, the orange works together quite nicely. That's obviously the top part of the shell. Then he's got the side of the car, and it looks really nice. And looking quite nice is potentially Macy Karasiak in the Porsche. He's looking to the inside of Guillaume Hamling and works his way ahead into P21. Bit of a twitch though as Hamling forces the initiative and works his way back up the inside. They've also got Nico Veldman for company as well. Many people still to come into the pit lane, so don't be scared. There's still plenty to come from these three, and they're not going to settle for outside the top 20. Nico Veldman though, quite a big mistake, nearly heading into the back of Karasiak.
Yeah, very nearly, and this is what Hamling and Karasiak and Veldman don't want to be doing, and well, Troyer as well, perhaps, although he's a bit further up the road, it seems. But they don't want to be doing this. They don't want to be fighting too much, as they're trying to elevate themselves among the rest of the midfield in this fight that is going to be decided in the pit lane at the moment. So they need to hold station and not fight a little bit too hard. There's Steenbergen once again trying to get past Ryan Cockle. They've got Giard out. They've got Alcamp for company as well in the Nissan, but who peels into the pit lane. Has he peeled into the pit lane? No, that was Cockle into the pit lane. But a little bit of action back there as well. But there's still loads of drivers yet to serve pit stops. It's Siristo, Wright, Nuttall, Velogia, Southfield, Gardner, Tomasi, Spies, McGowan, Steenberg and Alcamp, Cockle, Brown, and Smoggy, Siristo. And I don't think any of the top four have come in either. At the moment, but in comes the leader of the pros, is leader of the AM. Sorry, he's just come out, and he's in no man's land compared to the rest of his AM contingent.
He is. He's done a really good job as Victor Martin. I mean, he's just on fire. It must be said. Really, really good stuff shown. Really, really impressive stuff. And, well, if he can keep that consistency up, look out for him in the championship. Neither of our top two in. Well, I say that. Dominic Aligna leaves it very late. Darts his way to the inside of pit lane. And now takes his mandatory stop. It's going to have to be a quick one, though. Sam Fleety knows this. He's going to kick it into overdrive and maximise his in-lap. Dominic Aligna, though, he's got to make sure that he comes out in a nice, clear bit of traffic. Because the last thing he wants is to get stuck behind a train of cars when he's trying to make up a 4/10 deficit to Sam Fleety.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he's going to want to hope for some clear space. He's going to want to hope for a good outlap as well. But Fleety, yeah, I think Aligna's pulled the trigger now. Fleety's got to try and maximise his in-lap and get out ahead. It could be quite interesting, depending on where Aligna comes out once he's out of the pit at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that at the moment. We're watching Slav chase down Nuttall at the moment as well in among the midfield. This will be a spicy little fight as well. Can they catch Wright, who's just ahead as well? We're yet to see as we wait for the timing tower to update as it does in its strange way. I hope one day it will be a live timing tower rather than one that updates every sector, because it makes it far easier to keep an eye on those times in a more accurate sense. But yes, it's going to be very important for Smokey to come out and clear, and Aligna to come out and clear, sorry. I think he's out of the pits now, P5. That looks like a nice little pocket of space. No, P6, 7, he's still updating, but I think he's got a decent pocket there.
I think he's good. Behind, in front, push. That McLaren is very front-end orientated, and at the hands of Dominic Aligna, I can't really think of a much better combination between driver and machine. Aligna's very, very quick. half the race still left to go. We tick past into 19 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the initial round of the TSRC PC GT3 Series Season number 5, Round 1 here on Assetto Corsa Competizione, brought to you live, of course, by the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. We hope you are enjoying. Everyone at home, make sure you are leaving some comments in the YouTube chat as well to keep us entertained as we tick over into the final half of race number 1, round number 1, of course. For this fantastic new season. The race is on between our two leaders of Aligna and Fleety. Fastest lap as well for Aligna the last time by. He's looking very strong, but he's got to keep it up and hope that Fleety maybe makes a bit of a mistake on his outlap. Also, Jack Southfield not exactly where he would want to be over the course of this session. Too late on the brakes as well, and being into the rear end of that Porsche definitely isn't where he'd want to be. Southfield really is struggling in that new Bentley.
Yeah, he is. I don't think with the new update, I suppose, I don't think this Bentley's as good around here as possible. I think you need a bit more of a nimble car to really make the most out of this, and just it being such a clunky machine, I think it's struggling out there, even in the hands of Jack Southfield, who, you know, is no slouch at all out on the track, and perhaps just the Nurburgring is really not to Jack's liking at the moment either. And he's definitely going to struggle a bit, especially when it comes to some of the other circuits. I mean, I'm thinking Bathurst could be a struggle for Southfield's car, but that's a long ways away at the moment. Faulkner, he's come out of the pit lane now. It looks like he's just behind Martin in the Lamborghini, once the timing tables go. And only 5 drivers now yet to pit. That's Steenberg and Alkamp, and your top 3 of Fleety, Smoggy, and, well, Nuttall's not in the top 3, but he is at the moment.
Yeah, he's going very late. And side by side here, Victor Martin, the outside of the Porsche. Also following him through is, of course, Ethan Faulkner, our pre-season race winner. He's hot on the heels of the Lamborghini. 2 Italian cars duking it out here in Germany. Inside maybe, not quite able to go for it into the Dunlop curve. Hanging on to 5th place now for Victor Martin. Still waiting, of course, as Kelsey said, for the top 3 to come into the pit lane. Fleety, Smoggy, Nuttall. 3 great drivers in this championship. And, well, Fleety, he's the one we've probably got our eyes peeled on the most because of that fight that he's got with Dominic Aligna. Aligna setting the pace really with the fastest lap of the race so far. And just looking incredibly strong in this session. Inside line for Paolo Cisco, trying to move his way past Brown. He's not been able to work his way past, or actually no, he's able to get the up and under in that McLaren and, well, work his way up through into turn number 2 outside line. The Italian flag painted firmly on the McLaren 720S, so of course the quite heavy Italian contingent. There we go, I'll get my English out eventually. It's been a long day, ladies and gentlemen. He's looking strong. P24 of, I think, what have we got, about 28 cars, I think, still running in this race, which is obviously not exactly where he would want to be, but, I mean, you've got your own little targets to work with. Steenbergen into the pits, 5.5 minutes left to go of the pit lane window, and here we have Guillaume Hamling on the back of Nico Veldman. There's been fights up and down the fields, Kelsey, but I think the main thing we're all just sat waiting for is for Sam Fleety to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, we are, and I've been looking at the top end of the grid, actually, and I think, who's that? That's Aligna! No, it's Fleety even. He's round just outside the pit lane. Yeah, and he's trying to get back in. This is absolutely huge. Aligna's surely going to come out in the lead of this race, and what has happened to Fleety? How has that gone wrong?
My guess is he's outbraked himself going into the pit lane, gone straight on, and just about avoided the pit wall. However, a huge mistake. He's into the pit lane now, and it must be said, that is big news for this race. Dominic Aligna has, well, basically put one hand onto the trophy. Into the pit lane, Fleety, I don't think he's taken any damage, but he's definitely damaged his race with a huge loss of time. And that is not going to be great at all. Obviously, we'll wait for Aligna and see what the gap truly is, what the damage truly is, but there's got to be no coming back from Fleety. It's not like he spun and got away immediately. He spun, had to wait, and then went into the pit lane. the worst case scenario essentially for Fleety in this race.
Yeah, it isn't. Well, I was about to start saying that Victor Martin not only is could win, well, has a strong chance of winning the AMS unless something really bad happens to him in the next few laps, but also has a strong chance of finishing in the top 3 of the race overall as well in his position at the minute, because we're still waiting for Nuttall and Smokey to come in, who I don't know if they were ahead of him, but they were certainly around the same sort of area on the track, so that could be a huge turnaround for them at the moment. And Fleety's now finally out on track. We're gonna have to wait for the timing boards to resettle themselves at the moment, but surely he's behind the league now.
Well, you'd think so. That obviously is a huge sort of pain for Fleety and for this race, in all fairness, because it could have been quite a standout finish, but in the 30 minutes that we've got left probably are going to go the way of Dominic Eligna, bar any major catastrophes for him. But yeah, Fleety now to 6th place, probably will be 5th after Sir Smokey, maybe even 4th after Nuttall comes in. Inside line for Ryan Blanchett versus me. That's Tomasi he's worked his way past. And he works his way into 18th place. The McLaren's going to come back at him, though. Bit of a twitch from the Ferrari, pushes Tomasi wide. Not going to be favourable from the 18 McLaren by any stretch of the imagination. But nonetheless, some good racing, good little pockets of battles. But for the most part, the field at the moment is fairly spread out. So I think we're in for just a chill ride to the end.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a few little explosive battles in and amongst it as well. I think Oscar Soristo, haven't seen him for a good season or so. One of my favourite drivers out there, if I'm going to be impartial for a moment, or partial, I think I've got my words mixed up, but either way, nice to see him back out there as well. Little fight between Blanchett and Tomasi as well for the lower positions. I think this is for the final place on the podium actually for the AMS, so a bit more of an important fight between these two at the moment. Can he get anywhere closer in the 11 minutes and 42 seconds that we have? Yeah, we'll wait and see for the time being, but everything's sort of calmed down now after a very hectic first few laps, and then obviously it's all sort of died down during the pit window at the moment. But yeah, everything's come out now. I think they're waiting for everybody to sort of reset. There's a Ligner, so he's leading. There's Smokey. Nuttall is in P3 then. He's found himself way elevated up. No, it's going to reset now. There we go.
Yeah, I was going to say that's too good to be true. Too good to be true. Yeah, that obviously is a problem with ACC. It does make it a bit confusing from a broadcast side of things to know what's happening and when. I have to say, I think ACC is the only mainstream sim. Obviously, I commentate on other likes of Race Room, iRacing, rFactor 2. None of them have towers like this where it refreshes at every sector. I don't get the benefit. Obviously, the technology's there. Gunos surely know how to do it, so why not implement it? I don't see the advantage to this type of thing. Surely it'd be better to have a live updating Delta. But obviously to each their own. I think they actually have one in the game or on the dash. You have actually got a live updating Delta. I'm fairly sure. I've not played ACC for a while, but I'm fairly sure that's a thing. So why not just put it into the timing tower? Why not just make our lives easy? Obviously, they wouldn't want that. They don't like us commentators. Guillaume Hamling is on the back of Vyacheslav Volodya into turn, the final turn, with 10 minutes left to go. Volodya was able to hang on there, but quite late on the brakes from Hamling, it must be said. People are making a habit of that, Kelsey. It's quite a dangerous thing when you're the car behind. If you brake too late, all you're going to do is end both your races.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're going to go straight into the back of the car ahead, and it's not good for you. It's not good for the car ahead either. But I mean, you know, as I've said before, sometimes you just have to. I think sometimes you just have to try and do something. I mean, it's unfortunate if you do end up outbraking yourself and going to the back of another car, but to try and get those opportunities, you've really got to sort of you know, test the waters, as it were. Try and brake as late as you can, outbrake the car ahead, and really try and go in, especially into corners like turn 1, where a late braking send could be, you know, the difference between making a pass or not making a pass. And, you know, there's not many other major opportunities throughout the track unless drivers are making mistakes, or you just happen to get a good exit and then approach at the right sort of time as well. But this could be a good little fight in the dying stages of this race. Hamlin and Volodya fighting over the last place within the top 10 at the moment. And, well, my senses of what's going on in this race were true. Martin is in amongst the top 3 after Fleety's drama at the moment, but he's just dropped out as I've said that. It looks like I must have the old commentator's coincidence has come around again, as Faulkner's now in the top 3.
Yeah, Faulkner's worked his way back into the podium, which is definitely good after a poor start for the Ferrari. Definitely did sort of tarnish his race from that point on, but he's worked hard and he's got himself back into a good position with 8 minutes left to go. P3, P4 for Martin. It doesn't really make much of a difference for him. It's still the AM win, and it's still a sensational result in the overall race to be finishing P4. His pace has been up there. Really, really strong pace shown from Martin, who's, I'm sure, going to continue to impress, because the next AM, I think, is Spies in P17. I don't think there's anyone... No, because P5 is Fleety. Ceresto's 6th, and then we can see the rest all the way down to Spies in P17. Huge advantage between the AM lead and the AM second place. Monumental gap, it must be said, and while obviously the pros are quite competitive, it seems that the AMs are very much the opposite.
Yeah, indeed, and I was reading through the article about the pre-season race earlier, and you know, Martins is new. He's new here to TSRC, so to see him performing this well is great. Is a great little accomplishment. He's definitely got a great promising career ahead of him as we go forward, as Cockle's exploring the very limits of the track at the moment. And well, there's a lot of traffic coming up for the likes of Faulkner and his Ferrari at the minute. But you know, blue flags are a thing, but they don't have to move out of the way, I suppose. They just have to be predictable, if I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
I'm talking about clearing traffic. They have to make sure they're not doing anything unpredictable, right?
Oh, of course, no, yeah, that's the rule. It's not F1. Blue flags waved, dance out of my way, let me through because I'm a pretty princess and deserve a red carpet. Nah, it's nitty gritty in GT3s. Basically, the blue flags say there's a faster car behind you. Don't be out of order, I think is not the exact phrasing in the rulebook, obviously. But the car that's being lapped, if for the car behind goes for a move, let it be. Don't pull over and let them pass. Just let it be. Work with them. Sir Smoggy actually working his way past Ethan Faulkner, or Ethan Faulkner trying to put some pressure onto Sir Smoggy. Worked his way from 5th, now into 2nd place, the 2-time champion. I did doubt him a little bit earlier on, but his second win over the course of the second half of this race has been very, very strong. And now what we've got is 2 and 3, Faulkner versus Smoggy, inside, outside, dancing their way through. We've got the Panther on the side of Smoggy. We've got the Eagle on the side of the Ferrari. Brilliant battling going on here, and Victor Martin in the background as well, who's going to be eager to get involved.
Yeah, what were we saying about Smoggy earlier? He needs to find something. Well, he's certainly done it. Chumley, I think he had a bit of a poor run after his pit stop, and obviously Fleety as well. He had a bit of a horrendous time before as he came into the pits, and so Smoggy, you know, being consistent and just keeping it on the track and keeping it going has really gone well for him. He's found himself in P2, but he's fending off Faulkner and Martin as well, and if they keep battling like this, Fleety could get involved as well. This could be a 4-car fight in the dying minutes of this race. At the moment, side by side, they continue to go at the moment. Surely not through this next section of the track, and sensibly not. They sort of slot in behind one another again up to the Coca-Cola curve now, looking for the outside line. Is the Ferrari of Faulkner? Can he get himself past? At the moment, he's not going to. Slotting in once again as they go one by one down towards turn number 1. Any late braking moves from any of them at the moment. Who's going to be brave? Who's going to try? I don't think any of them are. Oh, he has a little look. There's Faulkner. Gets late on the brakes, very close to the back. That's going to invite Martin to try and make a move on the exit.
Well, Martin looking very, very strong. Look at how close these guys are. Fleety back into the mix. 2, 3, 4, 5. Nose to tail in the final 4 minutes of this race. Brilliant battling on display. Great respect shown, but it's not over until it's over. Dominic Ligner running away with things. 16.5 seconds clear of second place, but this is where the action is at.
Yeah, Raglioli is loving this in the live chat. He says epic battle at the moment. He's cheering on Ethan, of course, as he stated in the early stages of the race. He'll be hoping that Faulkner somehow knows that he's being cheered on and can use that to get himself into P2 at the moment. But a 4-car battle in the final 3 minutes of the race, Zach, we couldn't ask for anything better.
I don't think we could. It's been a long time building up for a bit of action like this. Also, Raglioli racing for Ethan Faulkner, Alessio Rigioli in the YouTube chat. I think there's a bit of correlation there. So Ethan Faulkner trying to put on a bit of a show maybe for the boss, potentially trying to impress. Whoever makes your liveries, by the way, Alessio, give them a raise. Fantastic stuff. Love the livery on your car. At the wheel of Faulkner, the black and the yellow. It looks very nice. Victor Martin, though, look at the AM leader. He's definitely not too shy amongst some of the pros, looking to dart his way to the inside of the NGK chicane. Sam Fleety into the mix all over the rear end of the Spaniard. Victor Martin, oh my goodness me. The fact that he's not just being a pushover in this battle, Sumo. He is literally fighting tooth and nail for each position. He was fully considering going for a move into that chicane.
Yeah, he was. You could tell by the body language, and he's having another look again. He's just putting the frighteners out there on Faulkner ahead of him as well, and maybe opening himself up to a move from Fleety behind, who's no slouch when it comes to battling other cars at the moment. But they're still going. There's no major moves at the moment. They're all trying to suss each other out, trying to force mistakes, trying to find those little gaps as they go through the track as well. And Martin had a little bit of a compromise go through there. Faulkner very close to the back of Smokey's car at the moment as well. This is exhilarating stuff towards the lower, well, the dying stages of the race at the moment. We watch car 76, not 67 even, follow close by as they go along through what I think this is the penultimate lap, I think, Zach.
I would be inclined to agree. Yeah, we've got 1.5 minutes left, and Dominic Ligner is about 20 seconds in front. So I'd say the penultimate lap is this one. We've got one more after this, and I think Martin might be earning himself an early promotion into Pro after this race, because Spice is in 17th, Martin is in 4th. The pace differential between the two of them is insane. No pace differential, though, between Matt Gardner and between Nico Veldman. The long way round for the Audi R8. Beautiful stuff from the Fast Forward Racing Flying Dutchman, who catapults himself into 13th place and is now in a bid to retain that. Gardner behind now. Great racing up and down. But our main focus surely has got to be on that four-way fight for second place. All 4 cars, nose to tail. Faulkner on the offensive. We start the final lap of race 1 here for the TSRC PC GT3 Series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Sir Smokey leads this 4-car train.
I'm gripping the armrests on my seat, Zach. You know it's getting exciting when I'm on the edge of my seat in these final laps as well. Defensive goes Faulkner, and then there's a big send from him as well as he goes through, but it's not been what he needed. He's gone very, very deep, and Smokey's just said, that was a nice try, but I'm still ahead of this train at the moment. It was Martin who was going defensive behind, trying to keep Fleety at bay, and he's managed to do so. They continue to go as they were at the moment. It's Smokey, then Faulkner, then Martin, then Fleety at the moment. And I'm going to agree with you, Zach. If I'm going to put any money on anybody to be promoted over the next few races, it's going to be Martin, because look at him. Getting really stuck in with these guys, these pros at the moment as well. Car number 48 is not going to be in the AMS for much, much longer, I don't think. But can any of them make any waves in these final few laps? The corner's ticking down as the clock has gone to 0.
It has. Brilliant stuff from these guys. It's been a great race. Of course, the strategy involved has been sensational, and we've got a third of the lap left to go. There Dominic Aligna 20 seconds in front. We'll follow him across the line, of course, to see victory, but Faulkner getting desperate, a quarter of a second behind the two-time champion. Aligna's got a little bit of lap traffic to contend with, and he'll dispatch them quite nicely. I don't think they really want to go for another lap with the Ferrari especially, but Aligna rounds the final corner on home territory. The German driver takes the first victory of season 5. And what a drive it was from the second row all the way up to the lead. And now we've got to settle this dispute. The fight for the podium places, the fight for second. Final corner, so Smokey puts his foot down, and the two-time champion will make a return to the podium, followed by Ethan Faulkner, who took the victory at the pre-season race. Victor Martin, though, ladies and gentlemen, take a bow. The Spaniard, victorious in the abs, 4th in the overall. And, well, that's not the line you take for... That's James Wright going off at the education game. Here's Slav Volodya on the back of the reigning champion of Jamie Nuttall. And he's going to find himself across the line. A top 10 for Slav, all things considered. Up now into 9th place. Brilliant stuff, it must be said. What a race that was, Kelsey. Well, good start, slow middle, fantastic end.
Yeah, I think we spoke too soon in qualifying. I think all the drivers proved us wrong about overtaking around this track. It's certainly possible, as there were, I've definitely seen races where there was a lot less overtaking than this, and well, it's just a testament to the racecraft between all of these drivers out there at the moment. Yes, we've seen a few little incidents, and I mean that's bound to happen in motorsport, but some of the racing action that we've seen is loads of side-by-side moments through tricky areas, some side-by-side through that very tight high-speed chicane as well before the final corner. There's been some exceptional racing out there, and I'm glad that we saw some great racing between positions 2 down to 6, or was it 6? Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5 even at the front end of the grid, and it was a great race to watch, Zach.
It was so good. And after 40 minutes of racing action, it was Dominic Aligna that took the victory and the fastest lap for good measure as well. So Smokey, Ethan Faulkner joined him on the podium. Victor Martin victorious for the abs, 4th overall. Sam Fleety, unfortunately, from pole position, sees himself only 5th after what could have been a fairly dominant lights the flag victory. Samuel Chumley 6th with Oscar Soriso, Elias Troy and Jamie Nuttall with Slav Volodya the top 10. Then comes Wright, Hamling, Veldman, Gardner, Southfield the top 15. Pryor Spies 2nd place in the abs, with Blanchette rounding off the AM podium. Tomasi and McGowan the top 20, with the rest of the drivers there from 21st downwards to Vas Concelos, the only driver to get disqualified and, in fairness, to actually properly DNF from this race. Kelsey, looking forward to the rest of the season, of course. In a week's time, we'll travel across to Suzuka in Japan. A brilliant circuit and should be good fun in these GT3s.
Oh yeah, it certainly will be. We haven't seen Suzuka, I think, since season 2, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but it's another track that's going to be a challenge. There's a lot of if you make a mistake, it's going to snowball like around here as well. But it's a fun track to drive, and I think out of the drivers are going to love it out there, and it's going to be great. And I think this season is going to be one to watch, because I think there's a lot of big names fighting toward the top, and I think this could go any way.
I think so indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that is going to conclude our coverage of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series. That never gets less of a mouthful. Season number 5 kickstarted here in the Nurburgring for round number 1 of our 6-round championship. In a week's time, we take to Suzuka. Beyond that, it's Brands Hatch, it's Kota, it's Bathurst, and it's Misano. And it'll be myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill, alongside me in the commentary booth, with Kieran Sharp pointing the cameras behind the scenes. We've been the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, and if you could, it'd be so delightful of you to leave a like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications as well to not miss a single thing. And if you do want to see some more racing action, live right now is the UK and I Radical Race Series. They're taking part in their championship as well, as they do every Thursday evening. Ewan O'Leary, James Parfitt, the boss man himself, on the microphone. We look forward to seeing you next time. For myself and Kelsey, it's goodbye.